Everyone. Good morning or good afternoon based on where you are. Thanks so much for joining us. I will first introduce myself. My name is Kate with Hawks, and I'll give it just a second while others are joining, but did want to give you all a warm welcome and thank you for joining me for today's webinar, which is setting up sections for the new term. This week, we'll be covering the same start of term topics every day and have open door office hours available for additional one-on-one support. We hope that you'll join relevant sessions to help ensure your sections are set up and ready to go. This session is going to focus on walking you through a few key steps to close out any old sections from last semester and how to get the shells of your new section set up for this term, as well as a review of any section-related settings that you might want to use this term. If you do happen to have any specific questions throughout my session, please feel free to chat those into the Q&A box located at the bottom center of the Zoom screen, and I'll be sure to reserve plenty of time at the end of the session to address your questions. So with that, I will go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen with you guys. Okay, I'll give it just a second to load. So where we are starting today is right in your Hawks Teach account. So you'll want to log in and go to the Tools tab. The first thing I'll start with is explaining a couple of best practices for wrapping up any old sections from last semester. So the first place I'll want you to go under the Tools tab is to archive gradebooks. We do recommend you take an archive of your gradebooks between semesters just to clean things up. It's just a best practice. It will store all of your data for you. So if you ever did need to go back and review one of your archives and see some old student data, it will be there for you. But the very first thing it will prompt you to do is give an archive description. Now, this can be whatever makes sense to you so that you know what it is in your archive list. So if you want to name it, for example, Fall 2023 course archive. Whatever makes sense to you, just type in the description, click Archive Gradebook, and the system will automatically take a backup essentially for you of all of your old student data. So that is the first best practice between semesters. One other thing I always like to mention that will just help you stay organized and make your life and students' life easier is if you come here to the Tools tab and go to the Reset Gradebooks area. Now, that sounds like a scary area, but I promise it's not. I just want you to check one box right here. Remove section LMS associations, if any. All that is going to do is break the links between Hawks and any old LMS sections. So whether your school uses Canvas or Blackboard or Brightspace, D2L, Moodle, any of the LMSs, it is important for you to break the links from your old sections just so that students can't accidentally enroll in the wrong course or get confused for the new term. So again, that's just Tools and go to Reset Gradebooks. We'll check the box to remove any LMS associations. And then down here at the bottom, you'll see your name and a list of all of your old sections. Just check the box next to any of the sections that you want to break the links for and click Reset Gradebook. Now that will automatically break those association links, and it will take an archive for you of those gradebooks as well. Don't worry about it messing up anything for this semester. If you've already set up your Canvas or Brightspace or whatever the LMS is links for this semester, doing this will not affect that. It'll only break the links for old semesters for whichever boxes you check here. So those were my two tips for getting started, just closing out anything from last semester. So now moving on to setting up your sections for the current semester. You'll want to remain here on the Tools tab and you'll go to the Manage Sections area. From here, you'll be able to see a list of all of your sections that you have taught in the past. One last thing, again, just a best practice and organization tip, is we will want to make sure that you hide any of your old sections from students and from the gradebook. All that means is that old student data will not be factored into your reports, and students won't get confused with anything from prior semesters. So how do you tell which sections you need to hide. In this list, you'll see two categories, visible to student right here and visible in gradebook. We want both of these to say no for everything other than your sections for the current semester. So if I just show you, you would check the box next to any of your old sections. So I'm deleting everything other than my spring 24, not deleting, but hiding. I'll check those boxes, and then up at the top of middle of the screen here, there's hide sections. So if you click on hide sections, I'll click hide from gradebook, as that also hides it from students. So if I click on it, you can now see everything is no for visible to student, visible in gradebook, other than yes for my spring 24 course. Now, if for some reason you ever wanted to reveal those again, just check the boxes and click show sections. So it's not permanent, it's not removing any data. Again, we've taken archives. It just is a best practice for keeping yourself organized. But when you are ready to create your sections for this term, what you'll want to do is come up here in the top left and click on Add New Section. So this is the menu that will appear. You'll need to fill out all these fields on the left. So first is your section name. We do recommend you make your section name very specific, because this is what you will see as well as what your students will see. So let's say, for example, math 1, 2, 3, section 3, spring 2024. You'll want your course name, the section number, and the semester in the name, just again, to make things really easy to identify for you and for your students. You don't have to put in your section meeting times, but again, we do recommend it just for students to know which course is which. So let's say, for example, Monday, Wednesday, 9 to 11:30 a.m. If you're teaching online or hybrid, you can just type in the box online or hybrid, up to you, just as long as this makes sense to you and your students. You will want to check this little button here to select a section start date. You can use this calendar icon to pull up the calendar, and then just click to select your first day of class. So I'll just select Monday the 15th, and we recommend you check the first two boxes under section start date, just to ensure that students cannot get started working in the course before that date. You'll do the same thing for section end date. Just use the calendar icon to choose the last day of class. Let's just say it is May 10th, and check all three boxes underneath section end date. Again, just to bookend your course that says students cannot turn in any work for credit after that date. Time of day lessons are due. By default, lessons are due at 11:59 p.m. the night before. You can absolutely adjust that if you want them due at noon, or if you want them due right before your class starts. Just type over 11:59 and type in what time you want them due, and then you can, of course, change from AM or PM. And this will adjust to the time zone that you're in as well. Now, if you are satisfied and you are just setting up a course completely from scratch, this is your first time teaching the course, or even if it's not and you just want to start fresh, click Save Changes and your section will be created and you're done. Before I click Save Changes, I also want to mention over here on the right in this gray menu, this is what we call our course copy tool. So if you have taught this course before and you like the way the course ran, and you say, I want to use all of my old settings and materials just for the new section, this is for you. You'll want to use our course copy tool. It'll save you a lot of time. It's really convenient. So say, just running with my example here, that I taught this course in the fall. I like the way it ran. I want to use all of my same settings for my spring section. Here in the course copy tool, from the drop-down menu, click select a section. And, oh, I actually hid my fall sections, but I'll click on my prior section here. And it will ask you, do you want to copy your basic settings? Basic settings are just everything listed here on the left, everything you just typed. So we're going to click no on copy basic settings, just so that you don't have to retype everything you just typed on the left. Now here's what it will copy. You'll see down here at the bottom of the screen. Lesson due date template will be copied, curriculum will be copied, any late penalties, reminders templates, any of these things that you have previously used will be copied when you use this course copy tool. So this course copy tool is also a wonderful tool if you're teaching multiple sections this spring. So if you are teaching, let's just say you're teaching 3 sections of a course, you can set up your section one time and then use this course copy tool like I just did to copy all of the settings here from your first section you set up to the other 2 that you're teaching. So all in all, really helpful, useful tool. Once you're happy with your settings, click Save Changes. We'll give it just a second to load, and now it'll take me back to this menu. I can now see my section I just created, Math 1-2-3, Section 3, Spring 24. So that is how you would set up a new section. Again, if you, I will make the mention, if you are teaching multiple sections, you do need to set up multiple sections in Hawks. So if I'm teaching, for example, 3 sections of Math 1-2-3, I've only set up 1 section. I need to click Add New Section 2 more times and repeat that process so that I have 3 sections in Hawks. That's really important because we have to have a 1-to-1 ratio when linking with your LMS. So for example, section 3 in Hawks has to be tied to section 3 in Canvas, and section 2 in Hawks needs to be tied to section 2, so on and so forth. But once you have your sections set up, there are a couple of other things I'll go over. We'll move over to the assignments tab, and you'll want to assign lesson due dates. So no work will actually be assigned to your students until you add lesson due dates. Now, if you used our course copy tool and you copied the template, the due date template from a previous semester or a previous section, you will see that reflected here under due date template. So you can see I have Kate Sharp, demo, spring 24, Hawks 101, due date template applied here. The first thing I'll show you is how to actually shift due dates. So let's just say that I had my fall 23 due date template applied here. I had not used the course copy tool, or I had, but it was from a previous semester, and I need to update the due dates. Click on your section, and if you double click right here where it says due date, you'll be able to see all of your due dates that you have assigned. So obviously this is my fall 2023 template, and all of my due dates are from fall 23. A really helpful tool is this button right here, Shift Multiple Due Dates. If you shift multiple due dates, that will allow you to choose the first due date you want to shift. In my case, the first old due date was August 21st. I'll click on August 21st, and then I'll now click the first date this semester that I want something due. So let's just say I want something due on January 19th. As you can see, every due date on or after 8/21/23 will be shifted by those 151 days. If you click on the shift button, all of a sudden, now you can see it has updated your due dates to begin on January 19th, which is the first date you selected, and it will push out all of the rest based on what you did last semester. So that saves a lot of time. It's a really useful tool for you. So that way you don't have to go back and reselect each individual lesson that you want due. You can just shift the due dates in bulk. So if I'm going to not save my changes here, but if we go back to lesson due dates, let's say now running with a different example that there's no due date template already assigned. So this would be the case if you are setting up a section for the first time and you did not use the course copy tool. There would be no due date template. So now if you click into your section, rather than seeing due dates and a name here, you can see it's blank. So the very first thing you'll need to do is give your due date template a name, and you can name it whatever makes sense to you. So let's say I name this Math 123 due dates spring 24. Just go ahead and click save. That template now has a name. And to assign due dates, it's really simple. All you need to do is choose which lesson you want to assign. So let's say I want to assign lesson 1.1. Click on the calendar icon here, and then just click the date that you want it due. And that is all that you have to do. Just pick what lessons you want and pick what dates you want them due. Let me actually make that the 22nd. And once you are happy with the due dates that you've selected, just click save, make sure you click save, and those will then be actually applied to your students' to-do list. So that is all that you must do, all that you have to do to have a section up and running in Hawks. So you just go to Tools, Manage Sections. Oop, it's being slow to load. Tools, Manage Sections, Add New, create your sections, come back over here to Assignments, Lesson Due Dates, and you'll want to apply a due date template. So now those homework assignments, again, will appear for your students in their to-do list. One other area that I wanted to cover today is under the Assignments tab again and Web Test. If you have any quizzes or tests that you have assigned in Hawks previously, you can assign them to your course for this semester, or if you use the course copy tool, they may already be assigned for this semester. You will just need to make sure that your due dates are up to date for this term. So when you come to assignments and web test, the first thing I'll want you to do is click on View by Section. That will then show you each of your sections. And if you expand the section, you'll be able to see which quizzes or tests are assigned. So if I run with this example and I check the box next to the section that I want to review, you can see when I check the box, that lights up the settings menu over on the right. So if you click on General Settings, that will pull up a list of all of your tests and quizzes. So you can see quiz 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. Now, if they had prior due dates associated with them, you would see them here. So in this case, quiz 5, I use the course copy tool. So quiz 5 still has the start and end date from fall semester. You'll just want to make sure you delete those out and put in the new dates that you want the test to start and end for this semester. So for quiz 1, again, just use the calendar icon. Let's say I want it to start on the 22nd and end on the 22nd. I want it to open at, let's say 9 a.m. and close at noon. Just select your start time or your start date, your end date, your start time, and your end time. And then from there, you do have the ability to password protect any of these tests. You have the ability to adjust the length of the test, the number of attempts they get. So maybe I want to give students 3 attempts, and then you can choose whether you want to keep the average score, the best score, the last score, or the first score. And you'll be able to choose which assignment group to apply it to. But that's all you need to do. Again, just make sure if you do have due dates from a previous semester, you update them for this semester, click Save Changes, and those changes will be applied. You can then hit the back arrow to go back to web test and continue making any changes or edits that you would like. So we have about 10 minutes left. That is everything that I had planned to cover today in the Setting Up Sections webinar. I did want to leave plenty of time at the end for questions. So if anybody has a question, please type them into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen now. And while you all are submitting questions, I'm going to send a link in the chat to a quick 4-question survey. We just want to make sure that these sessions are helpful and informative for you all, so that will help us gather feedback. And if you fill out that survey, you'll also be entered to win an Amazon gift card. So we do want to thank you for your time. Let's see, I got a question. Could you talk about the curriculum tab? Sure, let me do that. Let me click answer live. So under the assignments tab here, there is also the curriculum tab. So if I click into curriculum, you can see that it functions pretty much the same way as the due dates tab, in the sense that you see your sections on the left and you see a curriculum template here on the right. So again, if you use the course copy tool, you will see a curriculum template already applied. Mine has my fall 23 curriculum. If you are happy with your old curriculum, you don't have to update anything. You can use it just as is, because there are no dates associated with this, like with lesson due dates. But if you do want to make any edits to curriculum, you can click into whichever section it is, and you'll be able to see all of your curriculum settings. Now, I'll come back to this page right here just to go over the settings and how to edit curriculum, but I did want to go back and mention, if you're starting from scratch and you don't already have a curriculum template saved, it'll say default curriculum. Now, default curriculum just means that you're using the default settings and questions that the Hawks content team has selected for the lessons. If you're happy with that, fantastic. You don't have to do anything on the curriculum page. But if you want to make edits and you want to customize your curriculum, you'll want to click into your section name. Now, at the top of the screen, if you are creating a new curriculum template, you can see there's no name here. The first thing you'll need to do, and you'll see this warning message here, is create a name and save it. So if I name this, let's say Spring 24 Curriculum, Math 1, 2, 3, and click Save, now you can see that all of these lesson names at the bottom of the screen are now hyperlinked. So a few different settings to go over here at the top of the screen. Any of the settings at the top of the screen that you apply are what we call global settings. They will be applied to all of the lessons below. So a couple quick ones I'll mention: allow students to unsuccessfully attempt certify X number of times before requiring practice. By default, this is turned off, meaning that students can attempt certify as many times as they want to without being forced to go to practice. We typically recommend checking this box if you want to create a little more structure and tell your students, hey, you can attempt certify 1 time or 2 times or 3 times, that's up to you, before requiring practice. But after you unsuccessfully attempt certify that number of times, we're going to require you to go through X% of the practice mode first, and you can determine that percentage. One other area, allow students to attempt any remaining questions after achieving mastery. We typically recommend you checking that box, because that won't require students to complete any additional questions after they've hit the mastery level and certify. But what it will do is allow them to see the questions. So if they want to complete them, they can. They don't have to, but they can at least lay eyes on those questions to see what they were. Lastly, Flex Mastery. This tool allows for some extra flexibility within our Certify portion. So currently in Certify, the default is that if your student gets a question wrong, they receive a strike or they lose a life that counts towards their mastery percentage. Flex Mastery will allow students to retry a missed question with new values or the same values, although we recommend new, instead of receiving a strike. So you can then determine the number of additional attempts they get per question before receiving a strike and certify. We recommend keeping this number very low, 1, maybe 2, because we do want to still hold students accountable for actually learning the questions rather than just spinning their wheels with too many attempts. But that will, again, allow for a little bit of extra flexibility for your students. And then over here on the right, by default, we do check off to allow students to pause and resume their Certify sessions. By default, I think the number of pauses is 3, but you can change that to unlimited if you'd like. And we allow students to review their Certify attempts. Now, moving on to the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to see each of the lesson names, the number of strikes, and the associated mastery level with each of those lessons. So you can adjust the mastery level here if you choose to. But what I really wanted to show you is if you click into any of these lesson names, it's going to bring up our lesson builder tool. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see the full question bank, all of the questions we have available for lesson 1.1 or whatever lesson it is you're looking at. The right-hand side of the screen is the actual homework assignment. So you'll be able to see which questions are actually assigned to your students. You don't have to pick any questions to be assigned. By default, Hawks picks several questions already. Our math content team hand selects them. So you don't have to go to the trouble of picking questions. But if you want to and you want to customize it, over here on the right, you can see each of the questions that are in the homework lesson. If there's one you don't like and you want to take it out, there's this remove button. Just click remove and that question is gone. It's taken out of the assignment. Similarly, on the left, if there's a question you do like, for example, here the 0 means this has been included in the lesson 0 times. The one below it and above it are included 1 time. So say I like this one, I see it's not in the lesson and I want to add it. Just click add. Now the occurrence changes to 1 and that question has been added to the assignment on the right. So once you're happy with the customizations you've made, just click save and those changes will be applied. And that is kind of what we refer to as making a custom curriculum. You're just adjusting the questions available in the homework lessons. And I'm going to not save my changes here, and that will take you back to the curriculum page. So again, just to re-emphasize, you don't have to do anything with curriculum if you're happy with the Hawks default, but you do have a lot of flexibility and a lot of options to customize it if you choose to. Any other questions? It looks like we've got about 3 minutes left. And just another reminder to click on the chat box and fill out that 4-question survey that I entered. That will help us and it will help you, it'll enter you to win a gift card. Okay, I'll hang out for another minute in case anyone's typing or thinks of any other additional questions, but with that, I'll start wrapping up. Let me stop sharing my screen. I did want to thank everyone for coming today. I know it's a busy time of year as you're getting things started. Please reach out to us if we can help you with anything else. One last thing I'll put in the chat is the link to our semester kickoff event homepage. That will show you all of the events that we have going on each day this week with the links to register for them. So we do have open door office hours twice a day, every day this week from 11 to 12 Eastern, and then again from 4 to 5 Eastern. So if you do have specific questions or you need one-on-one support, feel free to join any of those open doors and you'll be able to get that there. We also have sessions for editing homework assignments, using our test generator, and syncing your course with your LMS. But I hope that this was helpful. Thank you again for your time, and I hope everyone has a wonderful week and start to the semester. Thanks.